I'm Reggie.
And I'm Brian.
This is R&B Talks.
Live and direct.
Well,
what's up, Reg?
Wouldn't necessarily be live.
Hey, as far as we're concerned, right now while we're recording it, it's live.
Well, we are live.
And we are live.
Thank you, Jesus.
Yeah. What a week. What a week, Reg.
Look, I know we've just introed ourselves here and said hello and greetings and all that stuff.
Yes.
But and we've talked about how both it's been a trying week. Can I just say that it's been a week that I've really had to practice being content and being at peace. It was a practice on those particular things.
Agreed.
And because I think this is what I mean. Like, in perspective is everything when you are living in the world we live in.
Yes.
So, like, I woke up. I'm still paying the mortgage. The kids and everybody's got food to eat. We got clothes on our backs. At the end of the day, And
at the end of the day, you're blessed.
Yeah.
Probably more than you deserve.
Sure. So that's what I'm saying. Like, and look, this is why Paul says, like, to remind us constantly remind your brethren of the gospel, like, all the time. I mean, like, we just lose our perspective all the time, even to things that hold most dear. We just, like, it just gets lost in the sauce, dude.
Yeah. Yeah. I think this last week, especially, I've had the whole tooth thing got finished up. The bridge is in.
Okay. But that's good.
Well, it didn't go as smoothly as I thought. And I still have a lot of pain. So,
well, that takes a while, bro.
But tell us about Buster, bro.
Oh man, I know my dog Buster. All right, so pet playground fence. I've said this before.
Yes.
Junk. Yes, it works in a way if your dog can't chew. If your dog is a bigger dog, aggressive dog, like a pit bull, and wants to get out of your fence, it will chew through that thing. Even the metal part is not good. Okay, so realizing that my dog Buster hasn't done anything to the fence. Like, I mean, it was fine. We went on vacation this summer, right? For like a week and a half, and he was outside the whole time with, my in-laws and neighbors and stuff coming over, making sure they're okay and feed, all this stuff. And he never was interested in that. When we got this new dog, rescued a new dog and a playmate for him, really. All of a sudden, man, he's like trying to get out all the time, and chewing through it. So it was like, it was a battle. And I've mentioned this before, but I'd got 1/2-inch hardware cloth and I put all down the fence. It's got metal fencing that wraps on the ground. And now it's all metal with hardware mesh all the way through the whole fence. Right.
Got it.
There's a privacy fence on one particular part where the pet playground / hardware mesh / hog wire fence meets that. It's connected to a 4x4 post, be like staples,
Yeah.
I have like a cordless staple gun, you can just
Clunk, 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 clunk.
yeah. Use he tugged, like, so in other words, the hardware mesh couldn't cover that whole area just because it's kind of like that fence has been up for so long, like there's air, it's just how it is. So it's attached to the original pet playground fence.
Okay.
He was able to grab the edge of the hardware cloth, pulled on it enough to where he ripped it off of the post. The whole thing.
Lovely.
Right? The whole little corner down here towards the ground, and was able to pull it out enough to where he could really get his jaws on it, rip it apart, and get underneath it.
Wow.
And there's metal in there, So he got under that, he got out. We noticed it early afternoon. So it's like late morning sometime he got out, and no one has seen him. I mean, we can't find him. No, nothing. And he's microchipped. He's got our info on his collar. He's got like I mean, it's like if somebody finds him, I mean, there's a myriad of different ways they can contact us, right? But
what does the microchip do?
Okay.
Like my dog is microchipped, and I don't really clearly understand what that means.
Because it's something they can't get lost. Because it's surgical. It's a shot that it goes under their skin, right? So they can't. Like in other words, if it was just their collar, collars come off all the time.
Yeah.
Well, this microchip though, they can scan it and it shows up poof that you got. Here's your info for the owner and all that kind of stuff, and it says all that.
That's if somebody gets him
takes it to a vet or has a scanner and it scans it. That's if they do that. It has information about everything, right?
So I want to take this opportunity to say if you see Buster, and I would hope that Reggie would post a little picture of Buster so that all of you out there can see him, please take him and have him scanned so he can be returned home.
The thing is, man. Like,
I like Buster. He's crazy. He's crazy, but he's cool.
He's a 4-year-old boxer pit mixed, dude, and he is very well taken care of. He's a muscular, great looking dog.
Yeah.
And it's one of those where somebody that had a nefarious ideas would pick him up and use him for something else. And I really, really, really hate that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, for sure.
So I tell you what, if I found that out ever, I would probably be in jail because I'm not gonna, I won't let that go. Yeah. I know how unchristian that sounds, but look, God made me this way, hey. Anyway, that's my Buster saga. That has caused me to be able to I've just been so upset and not being able to focus and this week. So yeah, it's rough. Now look, here's the other thing. One particular thing I want to say, you pet people out there.
Did you cast a spell on them, Reggie?
No, let me tell you something. Not all of us are ignorant bastards. I realize that a lot of pet people are ignorant and they don't understand things and they don't know this, they don't do that. Not everybody is. I don't need all these messages and comments, and it's all just about and it's just a freaking photo, a screenshot of someone else saying, if you lose your dog, do this, do this, do this. No, all you're doing is ringing my phone a notification, making me look at my phone thinking somebody's got information about my dog. Stop it. Okay. It pisses me off. Like, I'm not an ignorant shit. I don't need that. I don't have time for that. Right. Yeah. It's just I know, I realize I like I said, I understand you people and how you're like, people are dumb and they don't understand, like, put flyers out, contact your this, do this, make sure you put something else. I mean, it's like, I can hear the Karen. I can hear it in this whole damn thing. And it really, and I've gotten a lot, like, it's like, and even the same person is like, cause I'm posting on different lost and found pages and stuff. So every single one gets at least 2 or 3 Karens that send me messages or comment with this long list of bullshit that you should do this and this and this. You know what? I know. Shut up. If you haven't seen Buster, leave me alone. Yeah. Anyway, that's my speech. It just when somebody's really looking for the dog and they're really a pet person and they really know what they're doing, that is not helpful at all. And it drives me insane. I'm not a moron. Kiss my ass. Here you go.
You heard it from him. I'm really sorry, Reg. It sounds super stressful.
It's also because it's my fault.
I don't think it's your fault that the dog chewed a hole in the fence.
He's been chewing holes in the fence since December, and I've been patching it and doing different things.
But
it's got 4 layers of different metal fencing.
I don't know necessarily
solve this.
If he's willing to chew through 4 layers.
Well, he hasn't chewed through 4. I'm saying there's like parts of the fence where I tried just the hog wire, welded wire. I tried just this one. I tried just, So finally, it was like the 1/2-inch hardware. I finally found that, and so that's been put on the whole thing. He didn't chew through that. Not anything where I put that on. It was just this corner where I just didn't notice it wasn't secured to that post like it should have been.
Yeah, but
is the only reason why. And like,
that's hard though. I mean, at the end of the day, Buster's an animal, right? So he's got an instinct. So whatever that instinct is, he's going to follow it.
Yeah, I know. And I mean, look, he is a dog. Like, okay, and I want to make this clear too. He's not my family. He's not my son, fur child. All that stuff is absolutely nonsense. He's a dog. I love my dogs. I do. And I cherish my dogs. I would protect my dogs. But if there is a time when it's going to be chosen between my dog or like a human, it doesn't matter what human, the human's going to win.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That's just that's like that. It doesn't.
Well, I mean,
I mean, it's no, this is why I detest my fur baby. No. If your baby's furry, cool. But if your dog is not a fur baby, man. I mean,
if your baby's furry, cool.
Hey, look.
Sorry.
You could have a little Chewbacca. It's cool.
Hey, I have seen some hairy babies. I've seen some babies come out with like full on, like, looks like a Phyllis Diller wig. Like, so I get it, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, if anybody's seen Buster, and you legitimately have seen Buster, not like Buster Keaton or, Buster Poindexter.
And look,
the dog Buster.
You look I know this is part of culture, like with the reactions and like the comments of like, oh, we're so sorry. I mean, I'm just so like, I don't care. Like, I appreciate it. Like, this is the thing. I appreciate your prayers. I appreciate you thinking about it. I appreciate that stuff. But like, I guess I don't need to see that. You know what I mean? Like, for me, it's not like a thing.
Well, I get that dude, but some people,
I know that's how they
communicate their empathy, right?
I'm just
that's unfortunate, and I know it's frustrating.
No, it's all I'm saying is like, it's just not how. This is one point of social media where I don't feel like it's like worth our time, right?
I feel like the prayer thing is fine, but I do feel like the Karen thing, like,
don't know that shit. No.
Like, look, dude, like,
you're not the only one sending me these messages. That's what you got to know.
Yeah.
There's so many of these Karens out here. They're all, I mean, like, that's what I'm saying. There's like it seems like every single site, there's a dozen freaking different people that send me. It's like,
yeah.
Stop. Like,
yeah.
I tell you what, pick an ambassador and do one.
Vote a leader.
Like, freaking figure this, because I don't need that, No,
it's, I'm finding something out, Reggie. I think every Christian goes through a point where they pray in their life and they're really searching for an answer. And I've been praying about a lot of things lately, and we won't go deep into them just because prying eyes. But I will say that I do believe that there are points where God tests our mettle.
Yes.
And I believe this is one of those points with me, that he's testing my mettle. And we talked about this earlier. I'm like, my anxiety's been on like 100, and not because anything's wrong or I'm losing something or I'm not in a good place, right? Like you said, family's fed, roof over the head. I'm grateful, right? It's just one of those things where I don't know if it's my human nature or what it is, but where I'm at this place where I'm frustrated with the silence. Is that a good way to say it? And I know that there's something that's going to come from it, but I'm frustrated by the silence. And that's hard for me.
Well, the most difficult answer to prayer is wait. Because that's what he does a lot.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, not no, not yes.
It's just in my time.
Just wait.
Yeah, it's just in my time.
And I think it's also important, dude, to make sure that we understand that we will get more than we can handle.
Yeah, absolutely, all the time.
Right. I mean, like, you used to hear that saying all the time where some play, well, God will never give you more than you can do. False. He'll give you more than what you can do because he's looking for you to reach out.
Yeah.
Okay. And the second thing is, like, when we feel anxiety and stuff in that period of time, man, it's difficult. And it takes practice. to just internalize that situation for yourself and to say, hey, this is yours, Lord. It's not mine. Yeah. I'll do whatever I need to do here. I'm going to keep stepping out in faith. But the anxiety, whatever, is yours. I'm not going to do it anymore.
Yeah.
And that's why I say it takes practice, because you're in that moment, you're in that headspace, and it's not something that's just, that some people are better about it. But like, if I know that had I not already been in that spot before many, many times, I wouldn't be able to internalize that cognitive thought pattern and like, make my brain switch.
Very true.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think this is about when you think about it, this is why experience is so key to a people. This is why even in the church, where I've advocated like not more than one service, like no more than one service, have one damn service where everybody gets to, because you need the experience to come with the energy with the youth, and you have both of those come together and the people in the middle, and then you get something awesome because you get all of it wrapped up, right?
Well, I think a part of it for me too is,
now that's a little off track, but sorry.
I mean, for me, it's I know that I know the right thing's going to happen, right? I don't have any doubts, right? I know whatever's supposed to happen is going to happen. And if it were just me and I didn't have a family, I would probably respond differently, right?
Oh yeah, completely.
So, and I think it's this a state of flux I'm in, right? Like this growth agenda that I'm looking to have is multifaceted, and I just need to be patient, right? Like I just need to
look. Fortune favors the bold, bro. I mean, that's really what it is. Like, you're not going to get. There's always risk with trying to do something, advance something, do something.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's those who are brave enough to risk things end up with the reward of that.
Yeah, for sure. I believe that.
So, I mean, and it's like, as long as you're stepping out in faith, man, you got nothing to worry about. I will say I'm totally with you when how difficult it is, though. Like I was thinking about the other day, because here it is, it's 2024. My company's laid off a bunch of people for like every year, the last few years, right? And it's like, and I think to myself all the time, like, okay, I haven't got another job. I mean, it's way before I had a family, before I had this job, right? So I've been in the same companies for 16 years now, right?
Yeah.
So, like, and I wonder, like, and I thought, and that's going to drive you nuts, dude. I understand. Even thinking about it gives me anxiety, which I'm like, woo, but I may have to be in the same place, dude. I mean, and it's like, how am I preparing for this? It's like, it's just all about, again, you have to prepare. You have to like get your house in order. You have to do some things in order to make sure that when the time comes, it's like, it's good to go.
You're ready for whatever change is coming.
Yeah.
Right? So,
I mean, there's a lot of mental preparation, dude, that I think most of us need to go through in order to even get in the right headspace to do that. Right.
Speaking of mental headspace, I think we should give some to our sponsor.
Take it away, Edwards Managed Technology Computer Consulting.
We all learned a thing or two about viruses over the last few years.
Are we talking just computer viruses or?
Yeah.
But have you thought about protecting your computer against the latest threats?
At EMTCC, they've learned how to fight off viruses faster than Marvel can put out another superhero movie.
Woo! Don't know where to start? They can help you develop a plan and implement strategies for that situation.
Reggie, did you know they are set up with all the latest and greatest technology to help prevent cybercrime?
I did not, but Now I do.
Absolutely.
Visit www.emtcc.net to set up an appointment or give us a call at 1-888-551-2770.
Mention R&B Talks and receive 10% off your initial appointment. Remote and on-site options are available.
Yo.
We're back. So
Here's another thing.
okay.
Before we get on
All right.
to something,
Okay.
you said earlier, like the dog is a dog, whatever.
Yes.
Okay. One I didn't get a chance to look at any particular like dog psychology type of stuff, but
Yeah.
I remember like animals are not conscious of them being a particular animal.
Yeah, they're not.
So like a dog doesn't understand that he's a dog.
He's just alive.
He's alive. He has instincts. He has drives.
And he follows them.
Then you have these people, these people who think they're animals. By that just alone, they're not, because they're thinking they are one, which the animal doesn't think they are one.
Yeah, the animal just is.
You know what I mean?
I hear you.
See where that is, and it not like that.
Yes.
That like that should
Yes.
be. So I guess I'm just saying like that's just another aspect of that anomaly that I think is just a psychosis that needs to go away.
For sure.
But
So before we get into the deeper subject, I have to ask you, did you see the Tom McDonald, Ben Shapiro rap song? Was that not absolutely spot on?
okay, for one, I love Tom McDonald,
Oh, I do too. I think he's amazing.
but the Ben Shapiro thing is just funny because it's Ben Shapiro. Like, I don't care if he did a great job or not. It's still like he was still in a Tom McDonald song, right?
And he dropped a verse.
I know.
Like a solid verse in a Tom McDonald song.
Now-
and he's number one. That song is number one. Okay, so this is a little shallow, but I love the fact that Ben Shapiro called out Cardi B in that song and did it without. I mean, look, there is nothing culturally provided in the song WAP that is beneficial to women. Nothing.
No, nothing at all.
And then she called Ben Shapiro out in a tweet, said some pretty derogatory, ignorant. I mean, when I say ignorant, I mean strictly ignorant, like ignorant things. And so his retort is not only to make a rap song, but to make one that went to number one and that called her out for him doing it as a goof and getting to number one faster than she does. Burn. That's all I can say. Burn. Burn. Psst, burn.
Dude. Well, it's just,
Burn.
look, I appreciate here's the thing. Tom McDonald's production has always been great.
It has. Yes.
And he's done it all himself, him and his girlfriend, right?
Yeah.
And I don't really know how he got to there. I mean, like, you know, that's some, because look, I have all the same stuff he does.
Well, it's a long-term hustle thing for him too. And you know, you and I are still babies in what we're doing, and we'll figure this out as we go.
Well,
right?
no, I'm saying music wise.
But I'm saying, like, it took him. I'd say it took him a while. I'd say he was grinding in the stacks for a while before it got to where it was. And
What I'm saying though, like, I've been producing and writing music now for what, 20, 30 years,
yeah,
right? And then, well, since PC recording came alive, where you had DAWs and everything else, I've had one, right? And I've used it. And with audio production, it's not like, and hell, my brother's like a top flight, like, you know, engineer for recording and touring bands and all this kind of stuff.
shout out Robbie.
So like, but like the way he's producing these things, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's good for me. You're saying that's freaking great. I mean, like, you know, it sounds good and everything. So anyway, his videos too, like his videos are really well done.
Yeah, that whole video, that whole fax video was just super well shot and super well done. And,
I like another guy who he did an album with Adam Calhoun. Not as much as Tom McDonald. I mean, well, I can say that. I like them both. Adam Calhoun's a little rougher. Like he's a little more
edgy.
Oh yeah. Way more edgy.
I know what you're talking about.
And then there's Struggle Jennings,
which I'm a fan.
I like Struggle. And you know what I appreciate about Struggle Jennings is the timbre of his voice.
Yeah.
It's gruff. It's like, it's just cool. I just dig it.
Yeah.
So there's there's a couple other guys, but those are the three. I actually listen to those guys a lot. I mean,
I'll be honest with you, and this is going to be like, I admire artists, and I'll use one as like Jelly Roll.
There you go.
I admire somebody who's been at the bottom and has climbed to the top. Now, do I agree with all of Jelly Roll's lifestyle choices and all those things? No. But I feel like that music has more of a place that hits home, like Struggle Jennings, Tom McDonald. There's a bunch of other kind of, there's a group called the Trailer Park Outlaws. They're great, right? They're very, and I feel like their music is based more on the love of the music than it is I feel like they'd be out there doing it if they weren't making any money, because they just love to do it, right? And that's the people that I really attach to in music. Is I would be out here doing this if I made $1 a day, right? Because I love to do this.
Yeah.
So,
the thing is, like, it's hard to get noticed anymore if you're an artist.
Yeah.
I mean, holy cow, is it saturated?
Yeah. Well, and the music industry in general is not a friendly place to musicians anymore.
No, not at all.
Which is weird because it is the music industry.
But it's just agreed, and there's agendas just like anything else.
Yeah,
I mean, there really is. Which kind of brings us to an important topic today.
Oh yes.
As we're talking about agendas and propaganda and corruption.
Yes.
We got to talk about the Carlson Putin. It is Putin, isn't it?
It's Putin.
I didn't want to say that because I thought that's just me being silly, but it is Putin.
It is Putin.
Yeah, it's not Putin. It's Putin. Interview. And I watched the whole thing.
I watched it too.
I had to. Because, I mean, okay, so let me say this. I heard he was doing it, right? I saw his tweet that said, hey, I'm going to interview Putin, all this kind of stuff. Here's why. And then all this backlash about,
oh my God,
he's a
communist sympathizer,
all this kind of stuff, right? And then I thought, well, now I have to. Now I gotta
forced me into it.
Now I gotta. I mean, because look, I don't really have any feelings towards Tucker Carlson. I mean, when he got fired from Fox and all this stuff and all this, I mean, like, I didn't really care. It was just like, I never watched him, but him being on his own here lately, I've really taken notice because his interviews are actually fantastic.
They are. He asks very aggressively challenging questions. I feel like him being fired from Fox let him off the leash.
I do too.
So, and I feel like he's one of the few journalists out there that is going after real answers again, and I know it's not a very popular thing to say. I really don't care. But I feel like, when you talk about this interview, when you talk about it, you have to talk about the beginning. How crafty Putin is, because all right, so Carlson comes out with a hard-hitting question, right?
First off,
why did you invade the Ukraine 2 years ago? And what did Putin do? He said, oh no, you're not taking off in that direction. I'm going to give you a little history lesson. And then first he goes, let me give you a little 60-second history lesson, which turned into like 32 minutes. And I felt like that was Putin kind of saying, I'm in control of this interview.
Okay. And that I would totally agree with you and say that the one thing, okay, not the one thing, but one major thing out of that interview that I got was that Putin knows who he is.
For sure.
Definitely leads his country if he doesn't like something going on, it will not happen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you get that from it. So from the whole thing, though, what is very interesting is that Putin, I think, really has a love for Russia and his motherland is what he refers to it as. And I really think that he's not all what people in general kind of have this mind that he is. But he's also, though, to your point earlier, I think he's incredibly brilliant. I think he could be like very not afraid to just, obliterate a country that pissed him off or something.
Yeah.
There's those things, but I think he's smart enough to be able to address anything in that realm without being afraid of it. You know what I mean?
I feel like also he trolled some people in that interview individually and as well as countries. But my look at him is he's a mad scientist in a way. He's hyper intelligent. And the reason that is I don't think you'll ever see somebody come into a interview more prepared than he did. Like he had studied Tucker Carlson. He knew Tucker Carlson's educational background. Like he knew who he was talking to, right? And he was very direct about a lot of things, and he was very coy about a lot of things. But in the general sense of things, he just controlled it, and he controlled it with, an example I would use would be when they were talking about the under the sea explosion and him accusing the U.S. of being complicit. And when being asked why he didn't, if he had proof that the U.S. was involved, why he didn't go ahead. And then he brought up the propaganda machine. And I actually felt sarcasm in that. I believe that he thinks that he is smarter than anyone in the U.S. I believe that was a way for him to try to distract from the fact that Russia's been proven to try to interfere in our elections and do certain things. It's been proven that they did it. They're obviously somewhat capable at the propaganda and misinformation machine. And I think that was his way of kind of going, wink, wink, who can beat America at propaganda? What he was really saying is, I beat you at propaganda.
I don't know about that. I would just say that I think that in general, though, I think he's on point with the fact that the CIA kind of like is been off the chain for a while.
Well, that's been proven that's been obvious for years.
But the enormity of the impacts that they're making, though, has not been, like, the general public isn't aware of like the impact they're having across the globe.
Well, that would be I would ask you this question from you saying that. Is the general public not aware, or do they just not want to know?
Both. I would say it's both, because you have some people who aren't smart enough to look between the lines and like see.
Yeah.
Right. And because there's all these things that like you see the propaganda machine of the media say something, and like the easiest thing to do is to be like, believe all that, and you go on with it.
Yeah.
So there's a large percentage, I would say, of the populace who just does that. Right? Because they don't really have it's not, I don't know if it's about intelligence or whatever, but it's just like, doesn't have the thought to just look into things deeper or think that they should mistrust the media. I don't know why, but I think that's still there. And I think this is actually regional too. Don't get me wrong. Right? I know in the Midwest, we're very skeptical. We're very much more aligned with the media is a propaganda machine, not a truth-telling service. So when I look at that, that's what I would say is like, it's both. Some of the population just takes the word of whatever the media says.
Yes.
And then you have those who ask questions and they say, well, I don't want to get into that. I don't want to know. So then you have those too, right?
Yeah.
Then you have guys like me who want to know and gets to know and then
then digs deeper, tries to find more. Yeah, that's me too. But another thing I noticed in that is, when he was talking about, he basically blamed the conflict in Ukraine on the Western powers. And he kind of went back to the whole coup of the Western. He believes that there was some kind of coup in 2014 of
there was, though.
There was, but I mean, okay, so let's all right, let's be clear. I'm not a Putin fan. He's communist. He's not a nice guy. I don't think he's a nice guy at all. I think he is plotting and planning. I think the whole thing where he wouldn't be interested in Poland and Latvia was a big crock of crap, because the moment, if he rolls over Ukraine, that's what's next. And power hungry men are never not power hungry. So I think if he controls that and sees that he can control more, he will continue. Like, I truly believe that he wants the reuniting of the old Soviet Socialist Republic is what I want.
Okay.
What I think he wants. I think he wants the promise of the USSR.
I don't disagree, but what I will say, though, that it's hard to okay. What was difficult to like really encompass and like put through his whole narrative was the neo-Nazism and his adamant opinion that, there's these Nazi sympathizers who lead in the West.
Yes.
That he's animately against, and that's part of what it is. It's like these people in power who blah, blah, blah. Now, look, I mean, there's a lot. Okay, let me say this. There's a lot of theories that are to do with some of that stuff.
Yeah.
And it kind of lined up with quite a few of those, which was interesting. And I won't get into that because, I mean, look, people just go, oh, he's a conspiracy theory, but don't care. At the end of the day, like, I think the illumination of that, the president has not ruled these decisions. I think that's clear. And I think that should be clear. NATO is really like it's the U.S. is pushing the buttons behind a lot of things, but it's not the president that does those. It is like the agencies, we'll just call it that have control.
Yeah.
And they just do what they're going to do for the interest that they have. For instance, when he was talking about Ukraine and like having not a military resolution, I mean, I know that we told Johnson to intervene. No, we can't do that. And why? Because we have industrial military complex money that says, no, we need all that to happen because they're going to make us a ton of cash.
Yeah. That
loot we get from that's going to be spectacular. So let's let it go. I mean, that makes total sense there, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, what was fascinating to me though, I know he knew when he spoke to Biden.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Right. And like
such garbage.
and I know he wasn't going to say why he wouldn't talk to him.
Yeah.
You know why?
Well, yeah.
Because he thinks he's an idiot.
Yeah.
He doesn't think Biden's even.
He sees him as formidable in no way.
No, he sees Biden as just a puppet and a tool, and he has no interest in talking to that.
Well, and what's hilarious was when he was kind of. He was like, what am I going to say? And then he kind of goaded Biden with the whole like, oh, don't send guns to the Ukraine, please, no. And then he laughed, and I was like, the knife is in a little bit, and he's twisting because he knows, right? And which I think, unfortunately shines a giant special light on how vulnerable we are right now.
Well, I think that look, we're headed towards a conflict of some sort, I believe. I mean, I think that's written on the wall.
Yeah.
And I think it's on purpose. I don't think it's by accident. I mean, I really do think that most of this stuff is truly architected to go somewhere.
Yeah.
On purpose, right? I mean, the like I said, there's too much. Look how much money We don't spend trillions of dollars on military stuff just because of our defense. Like, we're so far above every.
Well,
like, holy cow, right?
Honestly, I think he wants conflict with the U.S. And here, let me kind of. There's a script from some of the questions, and it was Tucker asking a question. Tucker asked, "Who blew up Nord Stream?"
Oh yeah,
and Putin goes,
CIA.
"You for sure." And then Tucker goes, "I was busy that day. I did not blow up Nord Stream, but thank you." And then Putin says, "You personally may have an alibi, but the CIA has no such alibi." I feel like it's almost the bully in the room poking the U.S. in the chest. Come get some, man. I'm going to do everything I can to goad you into something. Because if I can goad you into coming after us in conflict, then when I go to my people and say, well, the U.S. attacked us, it's technically true. Even though
he actually said this though, when he said, and when Tucker asked him, would you invade Poland, all this stuff? No, but if they attacked us, that's what he's looking for.
Yeah,
I mean, clearly, if you attack Russia, he's going to attack you. Yeah. Now the problem being is, I think Putin's intelligent enough to know though, if it comes to a conflict between the U.S. and Russia, it ends in the complete global annihilation. And he alluded to that a little bit in the interview. Like, I think he is aware of that. Yeah. And I think that I think he was sincere when Tucker asked him about do you think the world is breaking into two parts, two hemispheres, one with access to low cost energy, one that doesn't. And he was like, well, and Putin actually brilliantly said, we all have two hemispheres in our brain. They both serve different functions, but in the end, we are one body. He goes, that's the way the world needs to be, as in one body. Yeah. So what I would say to that is, I think he's actually aware of the globalization and the move to like a global power. Yeah. And I think he really wants to be at that power head.
Well, here's my question.
You know what I mean?
Here's my question though. And when I said earlier, mad scientist, mad genius, I don't think it's the same ruse that I think that Kim Jong plays. And, Kim Jong likes to go on and make threats and say crazy things and do crazy things. And so does Putin. He likes to say very inflammatory things. But if you really want to have any sort of power, the last thing you want to happen would be a nuclear conflict. Yeah. Because that's zero power. Nobody has power at that point.
Yeah. I mean, right? You just obliterated your consumer base.
So do you think that's a positional argument for him where he wants to, like the bully pulpit, like I want to be the guy that when I bark, everybody pays attention? Because I honestly don't think that he has any intention of pressing a button to fire a nuclear weapon.
No, I mean, this is what I think. I think he wants U.S. to back off and give him the respect that Russia deserves.
Yeah, but here's my thing.
I think that's really where he's at. He's like, look, we are a country that is of significance. And that's what he was saying. How about the #1 European economy and all this stuff, even with all the sanctions? That's what he's saying. He's like, look, respect Russia because Russia is a powerhouse. Quit trying to interfere in everything, which I agree with.
Yeah, we got to stop being the world's babysitter.
Yeah, well, it's long said that.
That's a whole nother episode.
But here's the thing about all that is that I really truly say I applaud Tucker Carlson for one. That was freaking great, and I really appreciate it.
And it was brave of him to do too. This is not a safe time for an American journalist. I mean, they've already got the Wall Street Journalist reporter locked away,
which they
accusing
asked
him of treason.
He did ask.
Yeah, he did talk
and
about
shit,
that.
Even Carlson asked the question, would you let him go?
And he said, sure, we'd negotiate.
Well, he said, no, we'll negotiate. The people, there is working going on, blah, blah, blah. But he's looking for concessions on the back end of that.
Yeah,
I mean,
he's
not going to just give him up for nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, he was doing spy stuff is what he was alluding to. So,
well, but we also he's not provided any proof of that.
No.
Which goes back to where I see
he's usually
the mad part of the mad
it's
genius,
just leverage,
right?
Dude.
Like,
it's just leverage.
But I mean, something else that got me in that interview, man, that really stuck with me was when he claimed to be a spiritual leader.
Orthodox.
Yeah. And that, he said, you know, and this quote kind of got me. And it said, he said, adding that he believes there are inherent laws that govern humanity and that nations have been subject to them throughout history. I didn't quite understand. Was he talking about God, law, and nature, or was he talking about, because he kind of, when he went into the whole spiritual leader part of it, right?
Yeah.
I feel like once he said it, he kind of funneled out of it into a more dictatorial kind of view, which I kind of feel like that was a soft way of stepping around, you know, I follow the inherent laws that govern humanity and nations have been subject to them throughout history, is his way of saying, tyrants have lived throughout history and we've made our mark, right? Because that sort of steps away from the orthodox, you know, he talks about being, you know, man should be able to protect his family, right? And I get that, right? I mean, I would protect my family at all costs, but I feel like it kept getting funneled down back to where his core is, and that's man's law is my law. I am man.
Well, this is what I'm saying. Like he's definitely knows that it's his way or no way in Russia.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. I mean, that's what he's done that. He's been in power for 24 years, man. I mean,
yeah,
this is a long-term leadership position.
Yeah.
And he's controlled it with an iron fist.
Right?
Oh yeah, dude.
I mean, anybody that's gone against him has wound up dead or exiled.
I mean,
right?
that's it. You know, but when Tucker asked him, how does he reconcile with, you know, initiating these military conflicts, killing people? He was like, well, that's exactly what he said, is like, I'm protecting my homeland. This is the motherland, you know, and that's part of protecting it. And there's nothing wrong with doing that.
Do you think that he sees Russia as the center of the world and all of the rest of us are? I find that most dictators, when you get into the core of them, Kim Jong, Putin, go back to Stalin, you know, Hitler, all of them considered that they were the center of the world and that everything around them was substandard.
Well, I don't know.
Do you think that Putin's that? I feel like that's a dumb mistake, right? That's when the ego takes over.
Yeah.
But I don't know that. Do you think Putin's there?
No.
I mean, in this interview, I kind of saw flashes of it.
Because this is what I think you have to understand, though. He's lived through since Bush Sr.
Yeah.
Bill Clinton, since Clinton.
Which, by the way, he complimented.
He did. But I'm saying, like, you know, like the dude he's seen a lot.
Well, but
right?
I mean, really, if you want to dig deep, he's been in power for 24 years. He's been in the Russian government. For
longer
for a very long time.
Yeah.
As military, as advisor, like he had positions before he became the Tsar of Russia.
Yeah, that's true.
You know,
so that's what I'm saying though. Like I don't know if I would make those assumptions on that, what he said, just because of his perspective on this stuff is like crazy, right? Because it's just been so, he's seen so much, dude, and lived through so many different agendas and all kinds of things. Like I don't know. Like I think he took personally, and this comes from listening to other interviews with him and other things that he's put out there, because essentially, and this kind of goes back in history, when Reagan was in office, and Reagan pulled off the biggest bluff in the history of the U.S. military when he convinced Mikhail Gorbachev that we had satellites in space, that if Mikhail Gorbachev fired nuclear weapons, it would just zap them and he would lose. And Gorbachev basically ended the Cold War based on basically what was a bluff. See, but I don't know if it was a bluff at this point.
I do. Dude, we weren't that technologically advanced at that point. And there's no proof at all that the Star Wars program was ever real.
Yeah. But the thing is, though, that's like one thing.
Yeah.
I don't think we would know if that was real or not. Because if it was really real,
yeah,
it would be really, I mean, like, you wouldn't know.
Yeah. But
I mean, they could have been that intentional.
But I think that's part of why I feel that Putin wants to reunite the USSR, because I feel like he resents the fact that Gorbachev let it shatter. And I feel like Putin is a old school, old style Russian dominance.
Sure. I would just say that I think that's part of it, but I think a lot of it is just he's just mad and upset with us, and it's particularly this. I mean, obviously the CIA is on the top of his like shit list.
Well, he's angry with us. He's angry with Britain. He's angry with. He even kind of is not a big fan. I mean, even though I feel like, you know, Trudeau at this point would be like bosom buddies with him because of some of the garbage he's pulled.
Yeah, I don't think so.
But he doesn't like Canada either.
No,
like he doesn't like much of anybody
because it's NATO, it's the West.
Yeah,
it's the countries that control that whole thing have manipulated stuff across the globe that have done things to villainize and demonize Russia. Right. And they continue to do so. And some of it's, look, that's what I'm saying. Like, I truly think that he's more upset that the CIA is like doing all this nonsense and causing stuff right next to him than he is about anything else.
Well, but also give credit where credit is due. He's done his fair share to get villainized, right? Like,
don't get me wrong.
Like, he's not exactly.
No.
I don't look at him and go, oh, poor Putin. I look at him and go, dude, you've tortured people. You've killed innocent people purposely. He blew up train stations with people in them so they couldn't escape Ukraine. Those were civilians, right? Like, he knew that they didn't have any military power, but he killed them anyway. Like, he is a horrible human being. I'm sorry.
Well, look, it's the thing is, he knows in a conflict and a military action, he'll go that far to make sure he wins.
But to this day, I'm not 100% sure, like you said, that his issue or the reason that he's attacking the Ukraine is because he doesn't like the Ukraine or he wants the territory. It's his way of sending a message to the CIA. You don't get to interfere in relations between us and other countries or going to war. And it's because of what you did. Now, whether the CIA actually enacted whatever it is, because here's the one thing I can tell you about Putin. The brother posted pictures of shirtlessly riding a donkey. I mean, he's obviously a little unstable, right?
Dude, he lives in a different world, bro.
He does, but that doesn't mean
you're,
and so he's I don't even think his real problem is with getting back the Western territories of the Ukraine. I don't really think it is. I think it's, okay, so you guys want to mess with me. You want to get in my business. I'm going to teach you a lesson.
Well,
I don't care how many people have to die.
Yeah.
I don't care how cruel you think I am, how many innocents I murder. You're going to learn. Yeah.
I mean, that's what I mean. Like, Putin will do what he's going to do. Look, that's what I'm saying about as far as me saying I respect the guy in that his leadership is to the point where he has led that country and he is where he is and he will stay where he is because he is definitely not that guy you mess with.
Well, he directly threatened World War III.
He did.
If the U.S. put troops in Ukraine. He did not mince words.
No. And I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, this is what I think what America in general and the greedy actions that we've been taking through the agencies.
Yeah.
They don't
go unnoticed and they don't go without consequence.
Right. And I think that they're just hoping that they can continue to build up US arms and stuff to the point where it's not a big deal. But Russia's going to do the same thing.
Yeah. There's a direct opposite and equal reaction somewhere else in the world when you're doing something.
It's a gamble by the elites who control the decisions. This is what this is. It's a gamble.
Yeah.
They're saying, hey, look, we're going to make a crap ton of money here doing this and this and this, but there's a chance it could cause a global conflict and we lose everything. Well, let's take that chance because it's that much money.
Well, but here's the crazy thing too, and this kind of, it's not a rabbit trail, but I'll curve it back to this subject, right? I think that's why a lot of the Republican Party don't necessarily support Trump, but don't support Nikki Haley because she sits on the board of Boeing, which stands to make billions and billions if we go to conflict.
Yeah.
And she has voted on that board to manufacture machines of war and to go into conflicts and to do these things. Yet she wants to come off as this, you know, I call her the female Dick Cheney, bro. Like, I'm sorry. Because Dick Cheney was at the board of Halliburton and nobody made more money during the first Afghan conflict or the second one than Dick Cheney did and Halliburton did. So I think this goes back to what you're talking about, which is it's the gamble, right? I mean, let's be serious. When we went into the second Afghan conflict, they had a lot of allies that could have gotten involved and made that war a whole lot worse.
True.
For whatever reason, they didn't. Right? For whatever reason, they didn't. And I think that's the same game that people like Nikki Haley and Boeing are doing, is they're going into this thing of, well, I'm going to tell the American people one thing and I'm going to do another, and I'm going to hope that I'm so good at doing the other that I don't ever have to cover for the fact that I'm telling them something else over here.
Isn't Boeing, I thought BlackRock or Vanguard owned part of Boeing.
I think they do. I would want to research that, but I think they do. I'm pretty sure that they do.
It's
right.
Like, this is what I'm saying. Like you have.
I hear you, bro. You don't even have to say it.
You know,
I can feel it coming off of you. I can feel it coming off of you, man. Like it's just coming off. It's just radiating across the table. I hear you. I hear you, man. I do.
You know, here's the thing, dude. What fascinates me, Brian?
Okay.
We're just normal dudes.
Yeah.
We're not
scientists. We're not scientists.
Not politicians. We're not analysts. Yet
we see it.
You know, like I mean, you know, it's like I just and okay. Here's the frustrating thing about me. Okay, and anything about all this, it's like I know I'm peon Reggie with a small podcast. I mean, what am I going to do? I mean, you know, like I try to vote, but even then, who controls the vote?
Dude, I do what I can. Here's what I think my job is. My job in us having a podcast like this is very simple. There has to be people who are willing to let, however small our voice may be and however insignificant and however it might be, like hollering into a cave, and
we gotta tell the truth.
We have to tell what we see, and we have to let them know that we understand what's going on.
And we could be wrong. I mean, look, don't get me. But I don't think so,
Reggie, dude. No,
I know. I put that out there because
if the wall is pink, it's pink, right? It's not purple. It's not green.
Quacks like a duck, walks like
a duck, and walks like a duck, right?
This is a freaking duck.
It's a duck, bro. It really is. And I think as I've gotten older, I think a lot of times when we're younger, we tend to hold the veil a little more, right? Like we want to, because we're optimistic. We're more optimistic at that point, right? We're believing that something can be bigger than it really is or smaller than it really is, just depending on whatever veiled perspective we take.
Yeah.
I think as we get older, we understand that the truth is just the truth, right? It's not, and it's let's take our current president, for example. I don't hate Joe Biden as a person. I really don't. But I'm going to call a joker. Dude, you're cognitively declining. You literally went on national television and claimed to have a meeting with a French president that's been dead for 25 years.
Dude,
when you talk, you literally sound like somebody put words in a blender and hit frappe. Like you don't have control of your cognitive abilities.
No.
It's not a knock on your character. I'm not talking about your character. I'm talking about the fact that obviously there is a problem.
The DOJ
yeah,
said they couldn't prosecute
because they didn't think he was capable of standing trial because he was cognitively not there.
They ruled this, dude.
Yeah.
Well, the 25th Amendment should be enacted at that point.
Yeah.
Okay, if he can't stand trial for something.
And I'll say out loud, the people that are pushing him into office, the people that are forcing him to stay there should be prosecuted.
I mean, look.
That is, let's call it what it is. It's elder abuse. dude, that man should be allowed to go and,
blubber
his lips.
I mean, look, but
paint with watercolors, whatever the dude's going to do.
Okay. And I understand the puppets that would say, "Hey, let's keep him in there because he'll do whatever.
We can control him.
We'll do whatever we want."
Yeah. What
I don't, and I've had to be on Facebook and social media more because looking for Buster lately.
Yeah.
What does not compute logically for me is the people that still say they'd rather vote for Biden over anybody else that gets on the ballot from the Republican Party.
It's just garbage.
I don't look, I get it that you're like a socialist moron, but that man cannot lead the country. He's not able to do it.
Here's the thing. A vote for Biden is a vote for your capability of not living in actual reality.
Look, I'm not like this fervent Trump supporter.
I'm not either.
I really am. I'm not. However, if I have to choose between Trump and Biden, I'm going to obviously choose. There's no way I want some guy who cannot speak clearly to represent my country.
He is the worst possible. I feel like the last 3.5 years has been the worst possible representation of a powerful leader that this country has ever had.
Oh, absolutely. Like he makes Carter look good, and that's like saying something, man.
Carter was horrible.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Like Biden is, look.
And everybody goes, and here's another argument that bugs me. Everybody goes, well, George W. Well, yeah. Was he very unable to talk? Yes. But the one thing that George W. did was when it came time to handle business, he handled business.
I read his book.
I did too.
Okay. And I mean, look, I think the guy got a bad rap because I don't think he spoke that bad. I really don't.
I think there was a pressure on him to relate to younger Americans.
Yes.
So I think in an attempt to do that, he got kind of screwed up on some things, and he spoke in some ways that he probably wasn't comfortable in speaking, but he had some people behind him that were pushing him to be more youth oriented and rock the vote and blah, 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 blah. And it screwed him up. I don't think he was a bad president. Do I think that he listened to some people that he probably shouldn't have?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Well, again,
one being Dick Cheney.
I think the corporate America leader, the elites, I think got it. And he just listened to what they wanted to do and all that in some cases. But
think about this. Okay. When they flew the planes into the towers, one of two things could have happened when that Secret Serviceman went in there and told him what happened. He was in a room full of children. He could have panicked and scrambled, which could have caused problems. But I feel like the way he reacted was the absolute appropriate way to react in that situation. And he got so much heat for that. What did you expect him to do?
There's a phone video of that too, which is.
What did you expect him to do?
Yeah.
Scare the hell out of a bunch of kids?
Right.
No. He did what he was supposed to do, got up, and then commenced to kicking butt.
Now, in an antithesis to that is the way the BP oil spill in the Gulf was handled by Obama.
Yes.
Twiddling thumbs and just like,
shiny thing over here, sparkly thing up here. The important thing we're going to ignore.
Look, what is important for the average Joe to understand is that until we adamantly get people in office that will not be bought or will not compromise on what the people want in favor of the corporate or militarization, a military complex, it's the same old story.
But here's the thing, though. Joe Rogan said it best. Episode with Aaron Rodgers, last week. Until you take the money out of the government, you'll never have what you want.
No.
As long as there are people that can go up and lobby and write checks and bribe and cajole. How does someone who makes $250,000 a year retire after 8 years in the government and they're worth $30 million? How does that happen? This is how it happens. Corruption.
Yeah. Totally, dude. I mean, look, there's let me say this about lobbyists, and I want to make this clear. There is a purpose for lobbyists, because you can't have no one knows the details about situations or products or services or whatever like the companies that do them, and they need to be able to speak to the government about those things and to educate them about what that is, and up to a point. Where it comes, though, and this is to your point, is they'll say, hey, if you do this, there's a spot as a consultant waiting for you.
With $1 million a year salary.
Right. After you get out. That's the point where it's like, no, you just bribed an official.
Here's where I disagree with you a little bit. If we were going to let them lobby directly to Congress or Senate, then the FDA needs to go.
Well, the FDA is not doing anything anyway.
Because the FDA at that point that's their job, is to make sure that they should never be allowed to get to congressmen. They should never be allowed to get to senators. It should go to the FDA. The FDA should evaluate and take it before Congress and say, these are the facts. This is what we know is the facts.
Okay, but
that's not what happens.
But let me say this. I don't think the FDA should exist at all.
I think if it's going to exist, that's how it should exist.
Well, it can't, but it's
never going to be that way.
No, I mean, that's why we have all the junk we have, the some of the chemicals and crap we're putting in stuff. They're not
go down
that.
the list. The FDA, the USDA, they're all corrupt.
They're all done.
They're all corrupt. So
any department.
But again, you got to take the money out of government. But there is a question in this interview that I want to ask you, and I'm torn on this, and I don't know where to go. When he kind of arrogantly says that the reason Ukraine is still fighting is because of Boris Johnson. Now, I do realize that Johnson did some things to keep this war going because of the money that was going to be made. I realize that. But Boris Johnson's no longer the Prime Minister of England, right?
But it doesn't matter.
There is a point where Putin could have said, all right, well, Johnson's out, right? I'm in a war that's costing my country billions a year. We're not really winning, right? We do have the U.S., who is this major power who is pumping arms into the Ukraine. I'm losing Russian lives at an extraordinary clip. Yeah. My country is getting poorer as we go. I need to go to the new Prime Minister of England, reach out and see if I can rebroker this peace deal, because this war is not getting me anywhere.
That's where Carlson kept going and saying, why not? What would it take for you to contact the Biden administration?
Yeah,
because to his point, it isn't really England that's doing anything. It's really America telling England what to do.
Well, let's be clear.
So that's what Carlson was saying. Why wouldn't you just go to the source?
Well, the reason Putin wants to go to England is because Putin doesn't want to talk to Biden.
That's what I'm saying.
He wants to talk to somebody who's coherent, and that if he were to lay down terms, those terms could be taken seriously.
That's what I'm saying. He clearly understands Biden's situation.
He clearly understands that Biden is broken.
Yes.
Right. He clearly understands that Biden is not in control of the administration.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he understands that that there's no hope there. I think that's why that whole
Did you see him though? Like when he wanted to say that, I think.
Yes.
Like
he very much wanted to say that.
You could tell like you could see like gears turning. Like when in that interview, it's like every time Carlson bring that up, he'd be like,
yeah.
Like, he'd go
to say something and be like, wait a minute.
Well,
let's be a little more diplomatic. But like for me, I do feel like there's a point where Putin has to take a little bit of personal responsibility for the loss of life of the country he's trying to protect. I mean, like, right?
Look, he's one guy who could end it tomorrow.
If he was to reach out to the current Prime Minister of England and be like, hey, I need help brokering a deal that's going to end this war, he could do that. He's just not going to.
Well, keep in mind too, we don't know how much money Putin's making off of this either. I mean, he could be making a crap ton of money.
Well, he's making a crap ton of money anyway, dude.
Well, I know, because the way
he's the richest man in Russia.
Yeah,
right?
And he will always be that. Like he'll make sure he's always that guy.
Yeah,
But I think the military complex is good for him too, is what I'm saying.
Well, here's the thing I'm going to say though. there's always somebody looking to take the dictator.
Oh yeah.
So that's the thing. That's the thing I think that's very crafty about Putin is he knows the only way to guarantee that doesn't happen is to take out all competition. Like if you even breathe dissent inside of his cabinet, you are a dead man. So that's where the mad part of the mad scientist, the brilliant maniac for me comes in, because he is cold-blooded and will kill you without a second thought. Exactly. And I think that's where I struggle. In drawing a congruent line between one and the other, I think that's where I think that's part of why I struggle with the Palestine-Israel conflict, is that the leader of the Palestinian conflict is literally a mirror of Boris Putin or Putin. You know, I know. I think it's a vehicle. Okay. The Ukrainian conflict is a vehicle for Putin to, like, again, like we said, make a point. Yeah. To say, hey, look, if you don't compromise, you don't do something, we're not going to stop. I don't know. Look, I don't know if there's like all this Nazism going on or the Nazification that they keep trying. I don't know what he's. I think that's an excuse, man. I think maybe, that's all. I think. Look, man. Again, though, you could say this. You could, but I think at the end of the day, for a guy like him, that's an excuse to keep going. I do too. I mean, right? I'm leaning more towards that than anything. But I will say, look, the difference between like like what Donald Trump did when he was in president versus like in the diplomatic realm. Yeah. We saw Trump was proactive in diplomacy. Well, I think he was proactive in stating, don't cross this line. Yeah. I don't think it was about diplomacy. I think it was about, we are America. We protect our own. We don't want to fight. But that's what he did with North Korea, though. That's what I'm saying. Just and that's what he did with China. Yeah, he said, "Look, here's the deal. Blam. Here's here's where we're at. Here's where you don't just and it was like, okay, we understand this, and it was amicable. Yeah, but I think Trump could do the same thing with Putin, though. Well, even Putin said, he goes, I had a good relationship with Trump when he was in office, right? Yep. And look, again, I'm not necessarily a Trump fan. But if it's Trump versus a walking corpse, yeah, I'm going to vote for Trump. Not because I, in my heart, believe that Trump is the best option, but if you're going to make me pick between a guy who can't remember what he did yesterday and a guy who, in 4 years in office, although I disagree with a lot of things he did, made this a better country. Well, made this a safer country, right? At the end of the day, look, I think Putin deserves a level of respect. I think that I don't think the villainization or, that kind of thing towards Russia is a good thing. I mean, it's one of those where I think Russia needs to be respected and part of the world stage. And I think at the end of the day, this interview clearly lines out why we should just get the hell out and just mind our own damn business. Yeah. I mean, that's really, look, we don't need to, I get it, because we have global interests because we're trying to make money. That's really what it's about. Of course. It really is. It. Well, and don't get me wrong. I'm not a isolationist, right? Like, but see, I am for a short term. Well, I'm an isolationist when it comes to, do I want to get involved in another Afghan conflict? Absolutely not. Do I want to have a great trade with other countries that's amicable to both sides? Absolutely. What I would say is we have to right our house. Yeah. And it is definitely not right now. And whatever that would take, even if that means we pull away from the world and we say, look, no, our country needs some attention. All of the resources we got out here, which is trillions of dollars, that gets funneled back into our country to fix it, to do this, to that, right? Yeah. That's where I'm at. That needs to happen. Well, and then once our house is correct, it's just like in your family.
If you are struggling to pay your bills, to feed your family, to provide, you don't go out and you give what you have to someone else. You're not even taking care of your own. You take care of your own. That is your responsibility. That is your job. That is your duty. If you can't fulfill your duty, why are you trying to do it everywhere else? That is insane. It is not productive. It will end badly. It's the same thing with the guys, with the men. If you're not fulfilling your role as a man, figure that out first. You need to get your man in order, then start going out to the community. That doesn't mean you can't do both at the same time. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying there are times when you do need to say, it's time for my house to get in order.
Yeah, I gotta put my house together, right? Well, I will say this. I will say, in my opinion, I believe that Tucker did a good job. I believe that he showed some guts and some bravery going over there during a time when there's not a real positive light shined on anything coming out of the U.S., right? Especially by Russia and North Korea and China. And I believe overall it was a good thing to do. I think it was an eye-opening interview, right?
Yeah.
If you really paid attention and read the body language of Putin and really tried to understand what Tucker was trying to get from it, I think it was great.
Well, and I think it's clear we do have agencies that are making global changes to the effect towards an agenda.
Yes.
That is very apparent, right?
Yes.
And that needs to be known and needs to be understood.
That needs to be squashed as well.
Yeah, absolutely. But before it can even do that, it needs to be an outcry from the public to say, no more that. We cannot keep being that interfering and doing all this stuff, because we are creating situations that are affecting people, not just governments, not just militaries, but people. That Nordstrom thing affects all kinds of people. It does. It's not just, anyway, look, greatly. That was a good thing. I'm going to put a link down in the description so that people can watch it if they wish. It's 2 hours long. It is worth taking 2 hours.
Yeah. Cut it up into 2 sessions if you need
Whatever
to.
You
watch
need to
it
do,
all, man.
but you do need to watch it. It is very much a good interview. It is very well done. Don't listen to the propaganda media that says how it was, Tucker's acting as espionage and all this nonsense.
It's a communist sympathetic. Well, no, it's not at all.
It's not.
Yeah.
Carlson asked direct questions. He very much did not shy away from the stuff that needed to be asked.
Absolutely.
Okay.
100% agreed.
We're R&B Talks.
Like, comment, disagree, smoke signal, carrier pigeon, whatever it is, man. We want to hear from you. Please click that like button. Please click that follow button.
Subscribe button, dude.
The subscribe button. All the buttons. Like, follow, subscribe. The buttons, man.
Share this video.
Yeah. I'm Brian.
And I'm Reggie.
And this is R&B Talks. Peace, y'all.
See you.